Want to call to order the July 7th, 2014 meeting of the Ascension Gravity Drainage District. Would everyone please stand for the prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? Tonight we have Mr. Trey Klein and young Cole Klein in to say the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Would y'all step to the podium, please?
Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here this evening, and we ask that you come over all of us and influence your will on the work that's done here tonight. We ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pick him up.
Okay, let's do it louder. Ready?
The flag allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Cole. Good job. Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that Councilman Lambert's out of town and Councilman Turner's absent. We'll move along to agenda item number 3, which is basically a public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak, please sign in with the secretary, and you'll be given some time to speak when that agenda item comes up. The chair would accept a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved,
of
Mr.
the
Chairman.
February meeting. We have a motion by Mr. Doc Satterley, second by Mr. Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. On the chairman's report, I'm going to yield my time to Mr. Rue tonight. We got a decent amount of things to talk about in our projects and stuff. But I just want to caution everybody in the parish, we're well into hurricane season. We had an early hurricane out on the East Coast. Thank God it didn't come into the Gulf because we got some real good weather for it right now in the Gulf. But please get out and check everything. And as we say all the time, please check with your neighbors, check with the elderly, check with the folks that don't have as much as you've got. And let's make sure. We have lists with OEP that people that have medical needs, people on oxygen, people that are handicapped, special needs. If you can get that information into OEP, we know where you're at. In a time of need, either your council members or any of the parish members or somebody from OEP can check on you. And so we ask God to take us through this hurricane season and keep us safe. That's all I got. I'll move on right now to agenda item number 6. Mr. Rue, drainage report.
Chairman, I would like to skip over the drainage report and go straight to number 7, which is capital improvements, and we can talk about all our projects at that time.
Okay, on the drainage report, we just make sure everybody gets a copy of everything that their drainage and the work that's going on in their areas, and we'll go right on to agenda item number 7, the amended capital improvement project plan review and approval. Mr. Rue.
I handed out a copy of our capital improvement plan as amended, and also I handed out a Microsoft project scope of all our projects with some timelines on it. The different phases broke down, so you can look at some of the projects that's in your district or you might be interested in, and actually see some times that we predict and getting done with certain aspects of each project. Talk about the capital projects first. Because of the heavy rain that we had a couple of weeks ago, it changed some of our projects. We see now that we need to do some major projects in the Conway Panama Canal Basin. And because of that, I amended it as follows. Henderson Bayou watershed improvement course is almost complete. In fact, it's substantial completion be coming before the board next meeting. We're looking at having the council members visit the site maybe during the next month, take some pictures and look at the operation and see what's going on. But I'll send you a notice of when that will be. The Marvinboro Pump Station, we're recommending adding number 7 pump. Right now, we're allocating, budgeting $5 million to do so. Basically looking between 4 and 4.5 million for the actual pump installation itself. And I'm putting in $500,000 for engineering and supplemental services and professional services. So we're budgeting $5 million to add that number 7 pump. Law Ridge Levee Extension to Lake Morton, of course, that's been going on for quite a while now. Our budgeted amount is $13,500,000. It's in excess of $19 million, probably being closer to $21 million, $22 million, but we'll try to get it down to $19 million. And we're hoping that PLD will put up the money in excess of $13,500,000. The Bayou Conway Panama Canal Basin Project. This is a new addition. We already have the snagging operation going on, and that's almost 80% complete. And it's ahead of schedule and going real well. But we're also planning now an overflow of channels, overflow channels from Brittany Road, leading from Bayou Conway to Bayou Francois. And also the alternate route at the end of where Bayou Conway and Panama Canal come together, the old Panama Canal route, which goes under the train trestle, goes under US 61, goes along the US 61 around the interchange, and goes to where Bayou Conway goes under US 61. And on this, further in the packet I handed out, you'll see the Conway, a map of Conway and Panama Basin improvements. If you go to that map, I'm going to try to bring it up on the screen. Okay, the top line, that yellow line, the longest one, that's Cluot Ditch. And it goes to a train trestle and then crosses the airline highway, goes to Bayou Francois. Those other lines are basically sloughs right now. We want to open those sloughs up, going to Bayou Francois, and make them channels, so we can take the overflow from Conway in an emergency situation like we had with the heavy rainfall a few weeks ago, and actually put it into our pumping system. And that's another reason we need number 7 pump. So that's basically the overflow project from Conway. The next map that I have is what I just called the old Panama Canal, opening from Conway Bayou across, like I said, the train trestle, the airline highway, and it crosses the road that goes to our pumping station right now, goes around the interchange and back over to where the original Bayou Conway crosses under 61. We want to open all that up to give it a second access to get out, to get across the bottleneck of the train tracks, airline highway, and interstate, and try to get it out into the Lake Maurepas Basin. So that's the 2 new projects that we're adding to our capital improvement fund, and right now I'm putting in 6.5 million, but of 1.8 million of that has already been allocated for the snagging. So new money of about 4.7 million. Now, we can bring that down a lot if the parish or the drainage district does a lot of its own dredging, and we plan on doing that. So I'm hoping to bring that 4.7 down to about 2 million, maybe 3 million. But I want to go ahead and put the 4.7 million in just in case we need to contract out a good bit of this improvements, to an outside contractor, especially at the lower end. We're talking about the extension of the realignment of the old Panama Canal. We may go ahead and sub that out, and our own forces do the upper sections of that project. So again, I'm allocating 4.7 million to do that work. The Bluff Swamp Frog Bayou Ridge Road Drainage Project, I'm budgeting 4.1 million to do that. The Muddy Creek capacity improvements, that's that FEMA grant. And we're looking at paying this, the total grant is $1 million, our portion is about $350,000. That may go up, because we're responsible for anything that's above the $1 million or the $750,000 that the FEMA's putting up. But we can be doing that in-house. So one way or the other, we're going to keep it to $350,000. And the Marvin Borough Pump Station Maintenance, Evaluation, Repair, and Upgrade. And that's where we have to take each pump down one at a time and go through a complete maintenance of the structure. And we're allocating $1 million per pump to do that work. And so a total of about $5 million. That puts us at about, new money, about $34 million worth of projects. Right now, we have a balance as of 5/31, $20,954,000 in that fund from the bond issuance from a few years ago, for 2007. So that leaves us a shortfall of about $13 million, $13,500,000, which has to come from recurring finances, taxes per year, and also our bond fund right now, our
Balance fund.
balance of our fund in reserve is about $35 million. So we have enough money to do it. And again, this is over about 5 or 6 year period. So it's not like you're going to be pulling this extra $13 million at one time. We'll be allocating money to supplement our projects over the next 5 or 6 years. So again, this is the new project plan for capital improvements. On the other spreadsheet, again, if I broke every project down to give you an idea when some of the things may happen. Some of it is wishful thinking, because a lot of this has to do with getting Corps permits. And if we're able to get into the Section 214 plan, which our own consultant is hired by the Corps and to handle our permits, a lot of this will be sped up to in about half the time, especially the critical path, which is the Corps permitting. But I'm going with the assumption that that's not going to happen. So you can see some timelines in here based on if we have to go the normal route. I know a few are concerned. I know Councilman Cazo about the Frog Bayou Bluff Road. If we're not able to get into that program, it looks like it's going to be construction in about mid-year 2015. And the main reason for that is the fact of going through the environmental permitting. Then we have to get into the design phase of the Frog Bayou locks. Land acquisition, we're working on that right now. Permitting, we're working on that right now. We already got those processes started. Again, the Marvin Borough Pump Station upgrade, that's going to be one at a time taken down. The main thing on that is to get through the contract phase. We have to, right now, we are probably going to extend the contract with the present engineer that did the work on the Marvin Borough Pump Station to take care of this. I'm probably working on that within the next month to bring to you at the next meeting. But we want to get that project started, at least the engineering part done, so we know exactly what we're going to do and how long it's going to take. The Law Ridge Levee extension, and again, this is something that we're pushing for. The engineers actually is being a little bit more conservative, but what we're pushing for is to go to construction in the next year. And that's going to be a lot of, the only way we can do that, hopefully if we can get into that Section 214, where we get our permitting process expedited, and because that's what we'll be waiting on is a permit. So we can expedite that, we can probably meet this goal. If not, it's going to be extended into 2016 before we're able to start. But again, we're going to be pushing for the end of next year to actually get started on that project. I've got some, the Grand Goudin, Bird Island Ditch, Bayou Francois, Ball Bayou. That's all internal projects we'll be doing with our own forces. The master drainage plan is something that we're doing in-house also. Levee FEMA certification project, that's a long-term project, 5 or more years. We've got the RFQ process going right now. In fact, they should be in on the 8th later this week. And then we go through it, selecting that consultant for that project and coming back to you with the recommendations probably at the next meeting, if we can. And then I have the listed of the project that we just talked about, which is the overflow, the Lower Conway Panama Canal Basin Improvement schedule. Again, the main thing on that, environmental permitting, and we're working right now on a contract to do the, what you call H&H, is hydraulic and hydrologic analysis. So we see exactly what would happen if we clean these channels out, how it will affect our pumping station, and what kind of effects upstream it will make if we do this kind of work, to prove to the people that, you know, the people of the upper ends of Conway, Panama, that we are putting something, a project in place that will benefit them. We just want to spend a lot of money and do a lot of things, and at the end, it really doesn't cause a big benefit. So we're going to have to do this hydraulic and hydrologic analysis and model to prove to everybody that it will work and it will benefit. Again, I got everything listed out there, and I know Councilman Schneider we'll be looking at the dates real hard and real close on this.
Everybody's looking at
Yeah,
them.
this is something that we're going to be pushing for. It's going to take a while, though. Even if the old Panama Canal extension, if we can sub that out, we can speed up the whole process, the whole project. But again, it's the permitting, it's a thing that's going to hold us back the most in the beginning. So again, it's a lot of dates right there, and I'll be glad to answer, you know, anything, Mr. Schneider, if you have a specific question on that. And the last thing is the addition of the Marvinboro pump station, the pump itself. That has to go to another design. We can use a lot of things that was in the original design, but since it has to be bid out, new bid documents, new design specifically for that installation has to be put together and bid out publicly, because it's going to be in that $5.5 million. And it takes a little bit of time. We're working on it right now, but hopefully by 180 days, we should be at the point where we're able to bid it out.
1 second. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rue. And I just want everybody, you're looking at this Microsoft projects, that format, that if you could email it out in, you know, in a PDF form, because if you don't have Microsoft projects, you're not going to be able to look at it. So,
Yeah. Going with this, of course, we got the timelines and the
Yeah.
Gantt charts and everything, but that's too much to give to you at this meeting.
But I just want to touch on a few things and basically taking another look. We talked about this for the last year. We've been moving and moving and moving, and you know, we've had some events that happened within the last year that touched some areas a little worse than most people anticipated would touch them in some of the former events that we had. So, you know, just looking at, you know, going clockwise, that in the end result, Ms. Cazzo, that the Frog Bayou and Bluff Swamp project, that, you know, given that one and several other projects. Another thing I want to talk about is the Core 214 plan. Is that within that plan, and that's something that's an amenity offered by the Corps. Whether it's an amenity or not, we'll find out at the end how good it works, but it's basically you petition them to actually, they'll contract somebody to work directly to you, not just leaving it to the staff and everything. So
Well,
we should gain something by it once it's implemented.
That's something that we really don't know. I talked to the Corps last week. It's in public comment period right now. In fact, it should be over with, I think today or tomorrow, the 15-day public comment.
Yeah.
And the Corps manager over permits, Mr. I forgot his name now. Anyway, he told me last week that he should have some more information for me this week, because they were going to try to figure it out too. They don't use it that much.
Right.
DOTD has a man that actually works for the Corps. That's all he does is the 214 permits for DOTD. They have about 5 other parishes or drainage districts that's wishing to get into the same program, and they're not exactly sure how they're going to work it, and he should have that information or procedure put together this week, and I can have more information given, I can give to y'all at that time.
And what I'm saying is not a new thing. It's there.
It's
and-
there,
And
but local
there
agencies have
hadn't
not
been
used
that
it.
many local municipalities and local entities that used it. DOTD has been using it. So, but I mean, what that entails is that they going out and they basically hire somebody to handle your business with the Corps. Kind of put it on the top of the pile, keep putting it on top of the pile, and that's how it goes, rather than get lost in the stack. So we hope that program does serve some good purposes. And looking back at the projects that you named, is basically, the Frog Bayou Bluff Swamp's going to evacuate the water into Bayou Manchac. We don't anticipate I didn't see any plans for any improvements on Bayou Manchac that has come through anywhere. And that's in a whirlwind of 3 parishes. And so that, I hadn't seen anything new come out of that. Coming around the Muddy Creek, Dempsey and Chris, it's, one of our main problems at Muddy Creek has been that people were trapped in the back, and we hashed that out about 3 years ago, and then it just kind of, it vaporized. So there's some improvements we can do there. Henderson Bayou's fixing to kick off, and that should be a great improvement there. And just, Laurie's Levee Extension and the Panama Conway, both of those are, at the end result, some of that water is going to feed into that Marvinboro pump station. So putting a number 7 pump is really vital to our efficiency of that pump station. And like Bill said, that you can't just go put another one. One thing is, and you cleared me up wrong, maybe Mr. Picard can, but the fact is that we are permitted for that 7th pump.
We are permitted, and I
So-
checked with the Corps on that, and they agree.
We don't have to go through that whole
No.
process again. All our hydraulic modeling
Nothing.
had been done on 7 pumps, 1,000 cubic feet per second.
We
So,
hire the engineer to put it together, put the plans together, and we bid it out, and we don't even have to go to the Corps at all.
yeah. And I guess one of the things that you can hit on is the questions I asked, but just some of the intermediate small projects like you talked about, that some of the things we can do inside the different community areas to try to help it out. One of them, you got something coming up a little bit later on the agenda, something that's been kind of sitting around or working on trying to solve. But as we hit these spots, this last big rain event, we saw some stuff every council member saw some stuff in different places they didn't see for years, and so we just got to continue beating at the bushes and getting it. And do you have the staff to work all this for the projects?
I could always use more people
Okay,
and equipment.
okay, all right. For the workforce out there with, doing the work.
We have enough to do, and the major channels, the same as we've been doing for the last 10 years. The Goudin we're working on right now, and in fact, if you go look at it, it's a major improvement. And we're getting to do some, we're waiting on a permit to actually put riprap in. And again, we've been doing that, the Ball Bayou, the Bird Island ditch, the remainder of the Bird Island ditch, replacing the bridges, that's the permitting process going on. All of that is in-house personnel. And I really would like to do the Cluot ditch and some of the overflow channels in-house. But it's a lot of work over the next 2 or 3 years to ask my people to do. They're more qualified than any other contractor out there, I feel. We just don't have enough to do
Well-
all the work that we need.
Well, the reason I brought it up, because I'm gonna do it before Councilman Shake Snyder does, is that maintenance. We need to have a concerted maintenance force moving forward, keeping the ditches cleaned at all times.
The main problem-
Culverts cleaned out, ditches cleaned in the
The
small
main problem
areas.
that we having right now is weed control. We getting 10, 15, 20 calls a day with all the rain we've been having. The rain causes 2 things. Number one, causes the grass to grow a lot faster. And it also, when more it rains, we're less able to get in there and actually cut what's there already. So it's really putting us behind. I guess we're a month or 2 behind schedule right now. And it's hard to catch up when we haven't, continuously having this much rain.
And work it through the winter.
That's all.
I tell you what, the shredding looks good. Where you able to get the shredder in, that looks good. It cleans it out pretty good. So we appreciate that. Mr. Shake Snyder.
Yes. Bill, thank you for a tremendous amount of work, and it's time for compliments on the finishing up by Henderson Bayou. That's a great thing for the parish. Couple things. We had the On the pump, the seventh pump and everything, we've got designs already on that and everything. I mean,
You-
do we
you-
have to start over on design? We don't have to
Well,
start
you
over
have
on
to
that.
put a design packet together, and some things are gonna change because it's a different bay. And we have to put in the, actually the top, the ceiling has to be completely removed off of that portion of it. So again, all of this has to be put into the bid documents because it's going out to maybe new bidders, then bid on the other project. So you gotta pull it apart and have it stand alone.
Okay.
And not part of the whole, so they can pull a lot of the information across, but they actually have to redraw a lot of it.
Okay. But we
and,
can
and put the
negotiate
bids
with
together.
them for a good deal on the design because of it's virtually another pump.
It
similar.
will be lower than the
Okay.
normal project, design project because of that. And the
Okay.
fact that the same engineer is doing it, putting the information together.
And I know President Martinez is not here, but he had talked about with us that he was looking into the feasibility, just to let people know, he was looking into the feasibility of either levee pump system on Panama Conway system. He was looking into that feasibility in the future, and so I think he was going to talk about that.
And this, I left that out, Councilman, and
Yeah.
that is part of our long-term plans that we're still working on because we're not exactly sure how we should work it. But that's this is, now I listed in here as primary,
Right.
projects on the Conway Panama. Our long-term major project has to do with some retention possibly in the Orange Grove area of the Panama. I've been talking to the engineer with the old Burnside. I forgot the people that bought Burnside Terminal, that something might be worked out with them, with that one big lateral that goes up to the back of their property. And we're also going back and looking at the whole levee pump system with some overflow structures that could be opened up where we have headwater problems. So we're revisiting that major project, but again, I didn't want to bring that to the council before we had some more definite information of which way to go with it.
Yeah, I just wanted to let people know that they're looking into that, and it's going to be down the line thing.
Right.
Because people ask about it all the time.
And not to cut you off, Councilman, but that's also something that we need to work out with St. James Parish at the
Yeah.
same time. It need to be a joint venture, and it's something that's a little premature for us to talk too much about until we bring them on board and we can put together a project that benefit both of us.
And then, and I do want to try to schedule a meeting with St. James officials on the East Bank. I know we're meeting with them on the West Bank right now, and if we can schedule some meetings with them on the East Bank issues, I think that would help a lot, that we can do things jointly. And then I'm looking forward to scheduling a field trip with the Corps and get them out here and actually get them to physically see situations that we have and get a chance for the commissioners to speak with them and let them know of the individual problems that we have and trying to do, and especially since we're not part of the West Shore project, where that, virtually that leaves for all practical purposes, Ascension Parish is a fend for themselves on that. So I just want to make sure they understand the situation that we do have here.
And on that subject, Councilman, I did talk to, John Herman is a guy with the Corps that assists us on all our permits. He was trying to come out and meet with us, do a tour of our parish last month, and with all the problems, he wasn't able to. Hopefully, we can schedule something, he can make it out to our parish this month. And I'll let
Please
council
let us
members
know.
know when that is. And he's gonna bring several people with him. And we're gonna look at all our projects, the ones that just completed, but also some of our future projects we will be taking to them shortly.
Appreciate it. And then, again, we make mention of it again, Randy did. The bayou maintenance, we just want to make sure we get started with that and have people driving the bayous in boats and taking out small things before they get to be big things. I think people expect that, and I know certainly we expect that. I'd like to see that move
And
forward.
we've already, bought some items that's, our intention is to do just what you're talking about, go through the bayous on a monthly basis and just take out some of the I guess, the
Low-hanging fruit.
low-hanging fruit. Some of the things that's really obvious that's causing a problem, taking it out. I think because our next big project will be New River Canal. It's similar to Conway and Panama. It's a heavy canopy canal, and there's no maintenance been done on it in years, and it's something that we have to do there, including the upper regions of New River where it comes off of the Methanex plant, because the plant just downstream of it had flooding problems this last rain event.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through that from Methanex all the way through, at least to 30 and beyond to check that out. We plan on doing that either this week or next week.
Well, that's our responsibility, and I see no reason why we can't have an ongoing thing with that. I think it's very, very important, and I'm looking very forward to that starting and getting it done as quickly as possible. We don't, we've been talking about it for a long time. So whatever we need to do, if they need funds or personnel, whatever, let us know. And I'd like to see it started by next month actively. We just need to do it. So let's move forward with that.
Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare. Yes, Mr. Satterley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and actually, I want to do a follow-up on something that you asked Mr. Rue about, and I saw him light up like a Christmas tree about, maybe hiring some more people. And I realize, Bill, has put you in an awkward position because it's like asking the fox to go out the hen house. But here's my question: dollar to dollar, in your opinion, at this juncture, considering the last rain event we have and these new projects, and the fact that we do have, I think, a considerable amount of maintenance work we can do as well, in your opinion, would it be better to add a few more personnel to our drainage department to do this work, particularly the maintenance work, but as I said, the more technical stuff as well, and say subcontracting out this work on the new projects to private entities? And another reason for my question is I spoke to a state legislator recently, actually several, and they used the Highway 73 widening road project as an example that we're all getting calls on because it keeps going on and on and on and on, and the people are really getting raw about it. I'm being told that what's happened is the state now has went almost entirely into a privatization road project system, and in so doing, they do little work within, causing them also to rely upon what we have to do sometimes, a low bidder situation, and that doesn't always identify the best person for the job, and without various checks and balances that would make them do things in a more timely manner and cheaper. I detect some regret by some legislators that they went that way. So at a local government level here, what would you recommend right now, or would you like to study it, maybe send this council some numbers and figures saying that we can get more bang of the buck going this way or that way, and here's why?
I've looked at this many times over the last 15 years, and actually went out for bids on different projects, especially weed control and stuff like that on roads. And basically it comes down to this: for local governments, if it's something that you're mandated to do on a routine basis, it's better to hire the personnel, work for the parish, and go do it. If it's things that's not, it's unusual type project, like a pump station or levees or some major channel improvements and stuff like this, then you contract it out. But again, things that we call maintenance, we analyzed it, and again, I'll take weed control, for example. We took bids for it just to see what the bids would be, and we took our own costs and analyzed it, and the bids were about 40% higher than what we could do it in-house for the same amount of work. And again, it's things that we do over and over and over again. So for some of this stuff, again, if it's termed maintenance, then it's best to hire personnel if you have it in your finances to be able to hire personnel and equipment on a full-time basis. That's the best route to go.
And I thank you. You mentioned the $35 million in drainage fund revenues. I don't like to use that word surplus, but anyway, we're going to be using a good bit of that. It sounds like, I believe you said bottom line $13.5 million in your report here this evening for these new projects. But there's still a good bit amount of money there. So if I'm hearing you correctly, but no words in your mouth, you would like maybe some more people and then to earmark them for the maintenance projects.
Right now, we have in excess of 5 to 6 years of steady work for major channel improvements. And when you get past that 5 or 6 years, we'll be going back and
do it all over
and
again.
reworking the things that we started 5 years ago, because basically you're on about a 10-year rotation on your major channel, 10 to 15-year rotation on digging your major channels. And we started it in 2004. So, you know, again, in about 4 or 5 years, we're going to be having to go back and restart the program from the beginning, run through the whole cycle again. So it's never ending. The other thing about the budget, about our finances, the reason we have $35 million is because we've had a bond of $60 million that we've been using for our major projects. And so that it enabled us not to spend our surplus, a little bit of surplus we got every year. We're able to save it because of the bond that we had in our capital projects. But as we start these projects, we will have to use that bond, that fund surplus, a little bit at a time. And I'm thinking, and again, we did an analysis when we were looking at the tax, the millage. We'll be dropping down to maybe 14 million over the next 3 or 4 years. But then, because of the rise in revenue, hopefully we continue to rise in our revenue per year, that going down to 14 million, start rising again by $1 or $2 million a year, and start going back up. So I feel comfortable that with the surplus that we have and our revenue and our financing, that we can have a major project ongoing, even if we have to hire more people, and sustain a fund balance the whole time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
coming around the table there. Yeah, Mr. Rue, a couple of things for you. It's gonna be either overtime or cross-training to help you. You know, I know we work with DPW on quite a few things, but, you know, I'd love to work 410s too. But this is we're gonna have to have an ongoing, maintenance. Even with the inmate crews that we have. I mean, how many do we have on staff there?
We have full-time, I think, 6 or 7.
See,
And we have a
there's-
labor crew also, but that's only
and,
one crew.
You know, not knocking anyone. We've got a lot of places are silting up. We need, you know, people on the machines and different things. I know at the recent event, we've got people scattered everywhere, but there's stuff right now that is silting in. And all I can say is, either we go back to overtime or work rolling forward. I don't care what you have to do, but we have to have people rolling as much as possible.
We get into a little bit of overtime, maybe 15%, 20% overtime, it's okay on a routine basis. You get any more than that, it's more efficient to go ahead and hire the people and push the overtime down. It's too much of expenditure, the overtime. But again, the manpower is the main issue right now. We're just behind on everything because unlike the road department or just about any other department, everything we do is dependent on the weather. And if we get in cycles of this type of weather, it does two things. It pushes us behind because we're not able to do the work. And then it makes the conditions even worse, especially when we control because it grows 3 times faster.
Right.
It's no way with our present number of employees that we able to get any more done than what we've actually been doing the last year or so. Productivity is at about the most I can push it. It's just you just can do so much in a day's time. And especially when you get into permitting and you get into right-of-way issues, again, different from a road department or any other department. Every time we step off the road, we own private property, even though it's a servitude, and it's encroachment by us, and we gotta get permission, and we gotta take care of the people because it's their property. And that's not easy. Sometimes it takes weeks to get permission just to get in there and clean a ditch. So it gets and then it pushes us back, and that's when more employees help. When we're able to get in, then we're able to get it done, a lot of projects done at one time when it is dry. So that's the situation we're in.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Yes, Ms. Cazzo.
Bill, I just want to thank you for keeping Frog Bayou and Alligator Bayou on your radar. I know this is going to be a long-standing project. We're being very patient, and I appreciate all the work that you do and keeping us posted. Thank you.
That's all you got, Terry? Yeah, I just want to close with, Mr. Rue, I know you, so I know that if you go out and hire 50 more people tomorrow, you'd hire them. And you try to get it done, if
I
it was
would-
efficient.
well,
If it
I'll
were-
be
if
honest
it
with
was
you.
worth- If it was efficient.
If really I need 1 to 2 more major drainage crews, and let me explain something that a lot of people don't realize, that we did not clean major channels before 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Up until that time, the only thing the drainage department did was doing minor drainage of ditches behind houses. We started cleaning major channels, started with the Buret ditch, and we did the Bayou North Seas and several other ditches, major channels, starting then with a full rotation of all our channels. And that's why we got the Ball Bayou, the Goudin in our projects right now. We started that process in 2004. And we had a lot of work to do because they were really in such bad condition at that time. But now we're back into the rotation, and that's why if we can continue this project, major channel cleaning, we have to man up and commit to doing it. I mean, that's the whole idea.
Yeah, and I just suggested any council members, it's good to bring it up here. Mr. Ruth sits in a chain of command that goes up to the CAO and ultimately to the parish president, and he works to introduce his part of his budget, just like Mr. Pierce does with the DPW and, and all the others. So, he stifled a bit that he doesn't have a free hand at everything. So let's try to get a good handle and throw the numbers forward that you want, and we'll see if we can help you out on that. Yes, Miss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
And I think, Mr. Rue and I talked, considerably about this, and there are a lot of projects and a lot of needs. A lot of things were kind of exposed with the recent rain event. And we're in the process now where we're going through our budgetary process. And one thing I always say that we go through a justification. You justify the need, and then we go through a looking at meeting. And he's done a good job of doing so. And we'll be going through that, I think, in the next few weeks. We'll be meeting to go through that, through the budgetary process and the issues that were addressed here tonight and that Mr. Rue brought out, which we've talked about before, along with the president, will be addressed.
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Speaking of the budgetary process, I would like to again encourage to make sure that we put money in this budget for right-of-way acquisition.
There you
So
go.
we can go through and make sure that we're treating the people fairly and equally as we go through and widen these channels and do what we need to do. It's a fairer process than what we've been doing in the past, and it's more equitable to everybody. I know it costs us some money on the front end, but we get legitimate, recorded right-of-ways that we can go in and maintain our ditches and our drainage channels that what we haven't had in the past. And so that's important, in my opinion. We treat our people fairly, we give them what their property's worth, we get our right-of-ways, we get them nailed down, and that way we don't have to go through this stuff continually in the future like what Bill talked about, going having to get permission to go in there and maintain our ditches.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Cazzo.
Ken, I just want you to know the water doesn't need to get too deep in somebody's house before it's justified. Okay? Thank y'all all so much.
Mr. Shake Snyder.
Yeah, just to we're up here and we're talking about a lot of things that needs to be done and everything. I do want to emphasize that this Drainage Commission and all Bill and all the people, where we are now, without what we've done in the past, this parish would be in dire straits. We have a magnificent drainage department and people working and what is done. And we still got we should never be satisfied at just what Ms. Terry said. When you get some water in somebody's house, you just can't be satisfied. So we want to let people know we're not satisfied, but we're proud of what has happened. We want to let the workers know that we're proud of that. And, but we also as you continue to do something, you find new ways and ways to make it better, and we're not gonna rest until we, you know, just keep on going and make things better. So just to let people know we're all proud of what we have done, but we wanna get some more done.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rude, like, I guess the emphasis keeps going back to the fact that we have little small pockets areas where they experience flooding, possibly didn't before. Some areas got close about 20 times in the last 20 years, and then this time they got flooded. One of the main things that we trying to harp on continued maintenance, and the community can help us on that, is that, I brought it up before, I ride around and I look at where the water's sitting. Culverts are the worst evil around that just, you know, you can dig a ditch where you can run a bay boat down, but if it's going through a 12-inch culvert, it's not gonna help anything. And we have culverts that are plugged up. And so we, you know, I don't know that we can ride every little road, back road, whatever, especially in the major drainage system, because we got behind the property. But I just encourage all the citizens of the parish on the east side to just, if you do have some kind of drainage problem locally with a ditch, bring it up that somebody can go out and look at it. 'Cause we did it, I know in my area, a couple places we went and looked at, and Mr. Shake Snyder's area, they probably looked at 10 places, several other folks. But that's how we can help ourselves. And that's some of the things that catch us. We'll get a spot where you got good drainage for the most part, boom, all of a sudden you got 3 houses underwater. It's just a ditch that somebody threw a bunch of logs across with a four-wheeler. Somebody done washed it in. Somebody decided they wanted to get to the back pasture, so they threw a 6-inch pipe in the thing. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. Or either it's just something, old culvert that collapsed. I know, for instance, my area, I had an area where a guy had 48-inch culverts. It was like that when he bought it. He didn't know till a major rain event that it was collapsed, because on normal rain events, it managed to evacuate the water. Well, it was flooding about 20 houses upstream from him. So you guys did a great job, came over there, dug it out, and it blew out like Niagara Falls, you know. So, I mean, that's the type of things that get people in these downpours in a hurry. It's not just the major drainage canals or the pumping station, things like that. That's some of the things. That's why most of the folks up here that represent people are kind of looking for less, get high visibility on maintenance of the ditches and the culverts, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
And you mentioned something about covers, and I want everybody to know the recommendation that y'all made at the last meeting is going to the planning commission, I think this month. And the drainage board has already implemented those recommendations. We have the ability to do that, even under the ordinance as it is now. And we have instituted the policy of 25-year design and holding back 25% of the water pre and post development. And that includes everything that Public Works does and the Drainage Department does for its culverts. We size in culverts for 25 years, not 10 years anymore. And so that has been implemented and is going forward right now.
Thanks, sir. Anything else for Mr. Rue? Mr. Rue, you got anything else?
We got next, no, not on this item.
Okay, well, then we'll move on to agenda item number 8, Casey Babin Road and Samuel Babin Road Drainage Project. Before you go, I'm remiss that Mr. Lambert, Todd couldn't be here tonight, but this project is very important. It's been a lot of calls over a lot of long period of time, and we have one person that I should have asked him to sign in, a speaker that, Mr. Carmouche, would you like to come speak and let us know where you live, what's your address? Give us your name and your address there, Tim.
My name's Tim Carmouche. I currently live on Casey Babin Road in Bayou Northeast. The last big rain event we had, like Mr. Cloyd said, we've come close a few times, but never really got water in our house. But this time we did, and it was only a couple inches, but it was enough to completely, put a big roadblock in my wife and I's and little girl's life. So currently we're living at my parents' house, and so I just want to tell y'all there's a lot of things we could do, and I thank the parish and everybody who's done what they have already. And but this was a ticket put in earlier in the year before all this happened, so everything was great. And I know things like this take a while, but just goes to show you, it one day it could happen. So Just want to encourage y'all and I'm just one person out of 150 that this happened to in this parish, so, I just want to thank y'all for all y'all done and hope this process isn't too long, so, but thank y'all.
Thank you, Tim. Go ahead, Mr. Rue.
This project is an old project. This was a problem when I got here in 2000. The police jury put these covers in many years ago. It's an outfall ditch that comes to, I think it's Casey Babin Road and goes under Casey Babin and it continues through private property. And again, it's all drainage servitude. It's multiple culverts, barrels going through there. All of it's undersized. The catch basin's undersized. Everything's undersized, even going under the road. So we're having to go in there, and what we wish to do, go in there, pull up everything that's there, and go back with the 25-year design culverts to relieve the pressure.
We have a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Melanson. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, the main reason I'm bringing it to you is the fact that it's in excess of $127,000. And anytime we have a project such as this, I will bring it to you for your approval.
Yeah, and if everybody just look at the list of materials there, you can see that this covers a large area. And we hope for good improvements with this money investment. All right. Well, without further ado, and in the absence of Mr. Todd Lambert, we have a motion to adjourn
Second.
by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Melanson. Any objection? We are adjourned.